The Boston Celtics visit the White House. I was there. I'll tell you how it went. Plus, mailbag questions about Kristaps Porzingis, the impact of his return, the relationship between Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, and three-pointers. It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Yup. Beantown, be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Back to back, if I say it, it's stamp. Locked on number 19, the best one, the next one. Juice loose in your pool now for the next run. It's the C's, who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis, recap the madness. Every game, every practice. Best daily pod, no cap like Brad Beckett. Clutch like Drew to KP, tap in daily. Primetime Depp and D White on the sideline. Rain and Jace, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. I got you covered every day, Monday through Friday. Bonus podcast when they play on the weekend. So Friday is a game night, and that's a bonus podcast. I'm in DC, so you'll notice that if you're watching on YouTube, maybe if you're listening, it sounds a little bit different. I am in Washington, D.C. I'm doing this from my hotel room, so my background is not the usual background, but I will be at the game, so I will be podcasting, I hope, from the arena. If not, this will be my background tomorrow. Either way, a bonus podcast coming up tomorrow. I'm John Karalis. I've been covering the Celtics for, I'd say about 20 years at this point. Doing it right now for Boston Sports Journal as a beat writer, and I'm also the author of this book, which I get to show you, Built Different. It's a nice little book, I think, that you can buy at johnkaralis.com. It celebrates Banner 18, which we celebrated Banner 18. Everybody celebrated Banner 18 at the White House, which is like really honestly like 300 yards that way. If you're listening, I'm sorry, you don't see which way I'm pointing, but I'm right here. My hotel is right near the White House, and later on we'll get to mailbag questions, second and third segments, Kristaps Porzingis, the Jays, three-pointers, all that stuff in the second segment. But I want to start with, first of all, I want to start with today's show is brought to you by Robinhood. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. What was I saying? Oh, the Celtics. I'm doing a new setup here, and I'm not sure that it's working exactly correctly. So if there's a technical issue that I'm not noticing, I apologize. But this is how I'm getting my laptop to work on the road. It's just a weird thing. So the Celtics were at the White House, which in and of itself is really cool. Like I'm a 51-year-old man, and I've seen a lot. I've done a lot. I've been through a lot, and I've never been to the White House, and it was really cool to be at the White House. It's a super cool experience to just be on those grounds and to be that close to the president of the United States and to be in a place where, obviously it's the center of everything in the United States government. So it was, I think everybody who was there had that same kind of feeling. Derek White, for example, we talked to him afterwards and he was like, I was more excited about this than I thought I was going to be. And it's true. Like you don't realize you can play it cool, right? Like guys like everybody on the Boston Celtics. I mean, you've just won an NBA championship, right? You play the biggest stars in the world. You're on the biggest stage in the world. You are champions. You've won a major sports championship. Everybody knows who you are, and there's a certain kind of like feeling that comes with that. But then you go to the White House and that's just a different feeling. It's a different stratosphere. And to see the guys afterwards, I was lucky enough to be in a position where everybody afterwards was walking past me, and these huge smiles on people's faces, and this huge feeling of like, wow. You talk to guys, they talk about, yeah, we're inside, and there are pictures all over the place that we're getting the history of why those pictures are up and when they came from. This isn't just decorations. These are portraits of people who are instrumental figures in United States history. And they're getting like a history lesson of, this is, these presidents and members of Congress and, all of these important people throughout history. And you're in a place where, the Oval Office, as Derek White said, all of the decisions are being made. There's an inherent like, wow, it's bigger than sports. So, when you're a kid and you picture the feeling of winning a championship, you picture the stuff that's happening on the court. And I think as a player, like, that is a obviously great feeling. It's an incredible feeling that very few players get to experience in their lives. But at the same time, winning a championship is also the culmination of all of the work that you're doing. You win that championship, and yes, there's this feeling, this rush, but also you've worked towards this. You've always expected to get there. And it's an amazing feeling when you get there. But then there are the other things, the parade, the White House visit, where you are like, whoa, this is more than I expected. This is kind of wow stuff. And you hear it from the guys where they talked about the parade was this incredible feeling of rolling through the city and just millions of people, or a million people, the love, the feeling of just outpouring of emotion. It's incredible to experience. And then just randomly in the middle of November, you happen to be in Washington. They said, hey, that's a great day for you to come visit the White House. Come on by, meet the president, hang out. It's like, whoa, wait a second. You've got the president and members of Congress, and you're in the White House, and there's Secret Service, and just being around the Secret Service is like, I was escorted. It sounds worse than it is. I just went to the wrong door, and they kindly walked me to where I was supposed to be. Very nice folks, by the way. Shout out to the Secret Service officers who helped me get to where I needed to be. Super nice guys. But also when I saw Secret Service on their vest, it's like, whoa, okay, this is a different level of law enforcement. And you got a whole lot of yes, sir, no, sir out of me, man, because it's funny. I was talking to one member of the Secret Service, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there was another one standing next to me. And it's just like, okay, these guys are everywhere. And it just, it adds like this thing to it. An amazing experience. And also shout out to the Celtics for using the opportunity to advance things that the Celtics Foundation has been involved in. Their Raise the Age initiative, which is an initiative to treat 18, 19, 20-year-old people convicted of a crime as juveniles rather than adults, because that has been shown to actually reduce the rates of recidivism, right? And repeat offenses, and allows for a lot more rehabilitation. That's an initiative that they're trying to push, and it's gaining some momentum. And their curbside care initiative, which treats, it brings mobile early childhood care within the first 6 weeks of life to moms, parents, in low-income communities where there are a lot of obstacles to getting that kind of care. So great for them to push that stuff while they're there, on top of having this celebration. So an amazing day, just an absolute amazing day. Super excited that they had this day. Everyone, I think is just beaming because of it, and it was a lot of fun. It was one of the coolest experiences that I've ever had, just on a personal level. I really enjoyed that myself. All right, let's talk basketball. Kristaps Porzingis, his return. What does that mean? I'm going to get into the mailbag, answer your mailbag questions when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by Chime. I know that when I was younger, I had some, the money was tight, right? Chime helps you get through some of those moments. It helps you when you realize it's time to make some serious money moves. You can take control of your finances with the Chime checking account, with features like no maintenance fees, which is great because who needs maintenance fees, right? Fee-free overdraft up to $200. Why do you get charged for not having money? That makes no sense. You can get paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit because sometimes you got bills that are due on a Wednesday or a Thursday and you can't wait till Friday. So it's a nice way to make the most of your money. You can get spotted on debit card purchases and cash withdrawals. There are over 50,000, that's a bigger number, 50,000 fee-free ATMs. Eligible members get a complimentary boost to temporarily increase a friend's spot me limit. When you give a boost, your limit. So all you got to do is set up a direct deposit in your Chime account. After a qualifying direct deposit of $200, Chime will notify you to enroll in Spot Me. With an activated debit card, Chime will spot you up to $200 when you exceed your balance. Your next direct deposit is applied to your negative balance. So Chime never charges fees or interest using Spot Me. Very simple. Make your fall finances a little greener by working towards your financial goals with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/NBA. That's chime.com/NBA. Chime feels like progress. Today's show is also brought to you by Game Time. Now, I've used Game Time to get my last-minute tickets or just to buy tickets. It doesn't have to be last-minute tickets, but just to buy tickets to things like sporting events. I use it to go to a Red Sox game most recently. You can get comedy tickets. You can get concert tickets. You can do anything basically that's sold online. You can use Game Time for it. And their new feature called Game Time Picks makes getting those tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. It filters out the fluff, so you get incredible deals on great seats. Toggle in the all-in pricing feature so you get that total price up front, so no surprise fees at checkout. The panoramic view from your seat is there in the app, so you can see what you're going to see before you buy. And if you find those tickets somewhere else when you shop around for less, Game Time credits you 110% of the difference, so you're going to get that lowest price guarantee. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Locked On Celtics has a newsletter. Did you know that? Have you heard me talk about the newsletter? Yeah, it's available at lockedondaily.com. One-stop shopping for Celtics, league-wide news, fantasy, all of that. lockedondaily.com for your free Locked On Celtics newsletter. All right, let's get to the mailbag. Mailbag questions can come in at johnkaralis.com/mailbag. johnkaralis.com/mailbag. That's where the questions come in. And let's start with our question. We're going to get Kristaps Porzingis heavy in the first segment here. Ben says, asks, how much will Porzingis really solve, or is his injury just a scapegoat for the Celtics? Slow start by their standards. Not really a slow start. They're 12-3, but I understand their defense is lacking a little bit. How much will Porzingis really solve? Well, that's the question. I think Porzingis will solve a fair amount because he is the Celtics' best rim protector. And having Porzingis at the rim helps, obviously, by being a deterrent. So he's going to block shots. So if anybody decides to challenge the Celtics at the rim when he's out there, he's going to get a few blocked shots. But more, it's going to be, and I've said this probably a million times on this podcast at this point, it's when Holiday or White or somebody else is out there and Porzingis is on the floor and they make a mistake and somebody blows by them. Well, if you're a guard and you're turning the corner, you're like, I just beat Drew Holiday. That's amazing. You turn the corner, you look up and you're like, oh man, that's Kristaps Porzingis. I don't want to go up against 7'2", 3, whatever he is, Kristaps Porzingis, 7'4", Kristaps Porzingis. I'm going to go that way, and we're going to try to reset the offense. Or he's going to say, I'm just going to pull up for this 13-footer, and that's not a layup, and that will tend to miss a little bit more often. So the defense will get better with Porzingis on the floor. How much better? I don't know. Also, keep in mind that the February, March, April, May, June, hopefully, defense will be better than the October, November, December, January defense, right? The Celtics, I don't think, are putting in an absolute maximum effort defensively. And they kind of don't have to because they're 12-3. And I know we all want them to be their absolute best and be a total wagon right out of the gates and just stomp, put on your big work boots, the steel toes, and just stomp your way through the NBA and be that absolute dominant force. Okay, it's not exactly how it's going. And the other NBA teams really aren't that bad. So when the Celtics don't give it 100%, it's going to maybe burn them. But, you know, by the time you get to the end of the season, really what matters is, did you get enough wins to get top seed, or top 2 or 3 seed? Because I don't think the Celtics care about starting on the road. If for some reason they deem it like we're not going for these wins at the end of the season, the Cavs have maintained this ridiculous pace, and they're going to be the 1 seed. If the Celtics go into the playoffs as the 2, they probably don't care. They probably don't care because Celtics win on the road. They don't have a problem winning on the road. So I think the defense is going to be ultimately fine. And Porzingis is going to have a role in that. Landon says, when Porzingis comes back, how will the minutes between him and Horford and Payton be distributed? Would hate to see Payton's role be reduced when he's been so important in games this year. Also, could this affect potential ruining 6th man of the year if voters see Al as 6th man instead? No, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they are going to be, as far as 6th man of the year, you go with the guy who's been coming off the bench all season long. Horford, even if he moves to the bench in December, they're going to stagger back-to-backs. So Porzingis will start one, Horford will start the other one. He's going to get enough starts where people will say, he's really a starter, and Pritchard is the sixth man. The minutes, I don't think Pritchard is going to suffer. I think what might happen is Kata is going to get less time. Maybe Jordan Walsh, whatever minutes he's getting, might go away to some degree. So I think the minutes will come from the other bigs. Cornette, who was a DNP in the last game, I think he gets a little less time. Not like Xavier Tillman is playing a ton. I'll get to the Xavier Tillman question when we come back. But I think the minutes distribution, it comes from Kata more than anybody. I don't think Pritchard. Joe Mazzulla loves Peyton Pritchard. I need you guys to understand this. Joe Mazzulla loves Peyton Pritchard because Peyton Pritchard is the exact same kind of maniac that Joe Mazzulla is. Those two guys love basketball more than anything outside of their families. And even then, I'm like, maybe it's even. Those two guys are as competitive. They love basketball more than anything. So Joe loves Peyton Pritchard. He's not going to minimize Peyton Pritchard. So don't worry about that. Xavier Tillman when we come back, the Jays relationship when we come back, 3-pointers when we come back, as I continue the mailbag here on Locked On Celtics. Today's show is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25 APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new standard is here. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Check out Locked On NBA. Locked On NBA Game Night is 7 days a week. I am going to, when I'm done with this, I have a podcast that I will record with Jake Madison, Locked On NBA Game Night, talking about all the night's games in the NBA. So follow me there. Go check that out. And then check out the regular Locked On NBA podcast, which posts in the middle of the day, talking about the bigger stories, the bigger picture in the NBA. So go check that out. Ooh, nice little graphic there. All right. Oh, you know what? I keep forgetting. Celtics are the championship belt holders. I got to keep that graphic up there. My bad. It's my biggest weakness is this belt that I have been pushing. I was going to say I created it, but I didn't create it. All right, let's get back to the mailbag. A Xavier Tillman question from Paolo, who says, Tillman being assigned to the G League team, he says, I am very high on Tillman. I saw him playing against the Lakers in the playoffs. I'm sure he can contribute, but he looked so bad when he played at the start of the season. What do you think? So the conversation here is about Tillman going to the G League, quote unquote. Well, let's be clear about that G League assignment for him and Porzingis for one practice. It was one practice, and it's better to say the G League was assigned to them rather than they were assigned to the G League, because they didn't do anything different. They went to the Auerbach Center. They were at the practice facility, and the main Celtics came to Boston to practice in the practice facility. So it was not really it was just, hey, everybody, you're practicing with Porzingis now. So Tillman was assigned to that, I think mostly because it gave Porzingis somebody to guard and gave somebody to guard Porzingis. And, I don't think it was Tillman went to the G League for anything to work on. It was just it was just part of the assignment with Porzingis. That said, I think the Celtics' problems in the paint have impacted Tillman's playing time. That they need a rim protector. I mentioned this on the podcast, the last podcast I did with Tom Westerholm. They need somebody to protect the rim, and Keita is their best rim protector, and that's it. It's as simple as that. It's cut into Cornette's playing time. It's cut into Tillman's playing time. Tillman, just as much as you want to believe that switching is going to be an answer, the individual defense has not been good. And so the Celtics have needed to go a different direction. I don't even know that it's Tillman's play necessarily that has, although it hasn't been great play, but I think he's a victim of Celtic circumstance. So I don't think they have lost faith in Tillman. I just think that circumstances have determined that he's not playing at the moment. Joel asks two-part question. Why isn't the NBA Finals court / parquet not decorated like how the in-season tournament cup is? And why do JB and JT always act coy when asked about their relationship? Don't you think they'd be at least friends by now and not just associates? They both seem like pretty chill individuals, albeit different personalities. So, okay, let's start with the finals court. The reason why the NBA Cup courts are what they are is the NBA needs people to talk about the cup. The NBA needs people to be like, what is this? This is amazing, or this sucks, or whatever. They just need people to be like, what is this? What is this court? They need it to be different. They need it to be a talking point. They need it to be something that stands out. They don't need the finals to be anything that stands out. So they're not doing full-on new finals courts. And maybe they end up they do decide to enhance the court somehow. But that, when the Celtics won in 2008, there was that big Larry O'Brien trophy on there. That was like slippery, and that was like a decal, and that didn't work. So they're not going to go through the expense of repainting a court. It's the NBA Finals. Everybody's paying attention anyway. The NBA Cup, they need it to look different in the regular season. That's why they do it. So that's why it's not the same. As for the Jays, look, I don't take this the wrong way, but enough of forcing these guys to be friends. They don't have to be friends. They're cool on the court. They're cool with each other. They work well together, and they're not friends necessarily. They're two people who, through circumstances, have been put on the same team. They work well together. They play well together. They have figured a lot out, but they're not always hanging out with each other. When Jayson Tatum on an off day Sunday decided to go to a Pittsburgh Steelers Baltimore Ravens game, he took a certain group of people with him that are his close friends, and Jaylen Brown was not among them, and that's fine. Jaylen had other things to do. He was doing stuff. He had an event, I forget what it was, but with his mom, and that's okay. But it's not that they don't hang out. Sometimes they do, but not all the time. They're not friends, right? But they're also not enemies. Everybody has somebody that you work with, that you're cool with, that you work well with, that you don't call or text or hang out with outside of work. So I don't understand why people need Jayson or Jaylen to be more than what they are. They just won a championship together. They work well together, and that's it. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. So, yeah. Brixon says the NBA is on track to attempt 88,560 three-pointers this season, up from 59,250 in 2015. Some argue the explosion has hurt the game's watchability. Here's my idea. Deactivate the three-point line for the first 3 minutes of each quarter. Also, introduce a 4-point line active only in the last 2 minutes of each half or just the final quarter with the aim of making things a little bit more fun. Thoughts? I'm anti 4-point line. No 4-point line. We don't need that. And I don't think anybody in the league wants that. I get what you're saying. No. I don't like deactivating the 3-point line for stretches. Either do it or don't. That's why I've always said eliminate the corner 3-pointer. Just make that the rule. Create an arc around the top and make that your 3-pointer. So just make it a little further out, whatever it is, like you're above the break 3, that's your 3. The shorter 3-pointers in the corner, just eliminate those. I know it affects the spacing, but that's okay. The teams will figure out the spacing. Teams will figure out the next thing. Let the smart basketball people figure that out. And make the above the break 3-pointers a tougher 3-pointer. Make that something that's more special. That, I think, is the simplest thing. It's the simplest thing. If you're going to make 3 more than 2, take away the easy corner 3-pointer. You know what? Do it in a couple of years when the Celtics are rebuilding. So no one has to worry about, oh, but Drew Holiday is the master at that. And yeah, I get it. But it makes to me the most sense. It still makes the most sense. I don't think the 3-pointer has made the game unwatchable also. I think people get caught up in it. And I also think that there are people who aren't really watching the league that want to talk about the league that latch on to, oh, this is the big storyline. Oh, I'm going to do this. Just look at the Celtics 3-pointers. Most of the time, those are really good 3-pointers. So I'm not worried about that. I think the league will adjust. There will be a rules change maybe somewhere along the way. And it won't be like this forever. So yeah, I stand by the corner 3 thing. I don't like the deactivate activate thing. Make part of the game different than the other part of the game. I just want the game to be uniform from start to finish. All right. JohnKaralis.com/mailbag is where you get the questions in. I appreciate people sending the questions in. I do notice that sometimes the questions come in. I go back and I look at them and I say, oh, I've answered that in this other podcast. I hope you're listening 5 days a week, because a lot of times people have questions after games as the games are going on. And then in that post game or the day after, I organically answer the question. So I'm not just saying this to say, please listen to me as often as possible, but I am saying this to say, if you listen 5 days a week, these questions will get answered. So thank you for submitting them. I hope you got all the answers. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I would love it now if you shared the podcast and told everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.